This is the plaintiff, Bunya Turk. She says she was hired by the defendant as a seamstress for an art contest she was entering. They made a deal that if she won the grand prize of $1,500, she'd get 45% of the prize money. Well, lo and behold, the defendant won. She hasn't been paid her portion of the prize money and is suing her here and now, this double-crosser, for the $525 she still owed. This is the defendant, Rachel Udkoff. She says she paid the plaintiff in full as per their agreement and owes nothing. She did win the first prize money, but she had expenses which ate up all that prize money, and there's simply nothing left over. She's sorry, but she owes this woman nothing but a curt goodbye. She's accused of stiffing a seamstress.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated, come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Bunya Turk, you are suing Rachel Udkoff for $525 that you say you are owed for work that you did on a project for her. Okay, let me hear from you first.
Okay, the defendant posted that she needed help with the contest, a sukkah project.
A sukkah. Tell me what a sukkah is.
A sukkah is, it's for the Jewish holiday. It's supposed to be a temporary home dwelling outdoors,
Okay.
and but this was an art project for that,
Okay.
a competition.
Okay, so go ahead.
She posted photos of the fabrics. She needed somebody to sew it. I got tagged, so I commented, gladly PM me.
You commented what?
PM me with more details.
Personal message private message me
Yes.
with more.
Yes.
We'll get there.
We'll get an interpreter. Should we just get an interpreter?
We probably should.
All right, with more details. So the two of you communicate and decide that you are going to sew. What exactly were you looking for, according to you?
So I had the materials already, and I needed her to sew, to basically hem them and sew some of them together and to cut them. And to
Cut them?
To cut them into triangular pieces.
Okay. And according to you, you hired her to do that for how much?
For $150.
Okay. Then what happens?
So the verbal agreement was after I sat down for an hour, took down notes, what she needed. It was a big job. It wasn't just cutting out triangles. I had to make a pattern. It was 14 pieces of fabric, 8 feet tall. I took down all the details, the notes, and after she said, I only have $100 left in the budget, and I said I could give you 100. She said I could give you 150. I said, okay, it's a contest, right? So that gives me exposure. And what happens if it wins? So he said, oh, if it wins, I could pay you. So
all this takes place before you start the
verbal.
job?
Yes. Later, I messaged her, can we define, before you pick it up, I want to define in writing what happens if it wins.
Now you want to define it in writing.
No.
So you've already done the job, and you say, before you pick up the job, I'd like to define in writing. Go ahead.
Define exposure and define what happens if it wins. What does it mean? I can pay you if it wins.
And what does she say?
She said, no, it's just 150 and that's it. So I asked for, add my name on the contest and 45% of the prize if it wins.
45%?
Of the prize if it wins. It was 5 days of full-time work.
Well, I didn't make you take that job. In other words, okay, so you took a job for $150, and then after you worked on the job, you decided that it should pay more. You wanted not just more money, you wanted credit for, what was this again? This was a design project that you did?
It was a design competition.
A design competition that you created.
Over months of work, and I also was working with another designer at first. And
Right, and she wanted credit as though she had designed it.
She demanded fair exposure and proper pay if it wins, and to add my name as to the competition as someone who created your vision, and an agreement of 45% of the prize money. So
now your perspective on this was, she's got me over a barrel. Let me see the actual text. Does anybody have it in their phones?
I have it.
Thanks. Okay. On September 13th, you say, can I come by today to pick them up? And you say that at 3:27. At 4:11, this is what you respond to her. I know ideally we should have taken care of all the technicalities, before a job, but this was so rushed that here we are now. I'd like to clear everything up in writing before pickup, which really means you've got the baby, and if you ever want to see your baby again, you'll pay me the ransom. All right, can you talk? And she says to you, which technicalities are you referring to? We spoke the first night and came up with a professional agreement. I told you my budget. We agreed on a price of $150. I also agreed to pay for the materials, which you told me were $35, and I'm assuming you're right. I haven't seen receipts. Post-agreement, you may keep the excess materials I bought. I've worked in freelance before. The first few jobs I've taken were done for free or very little. I've had a few other seamstresses offer to do this job for free, but I trust your work and you seemed happy to do it. I would really love to see how it came out, and I really look forward to establishing a professional relationship with you in the future. To which you respond, I am referring to the definition of exposure and how much I get if it wins. Those are the two things mentioned that night that we didn't define. The baseline price for the work I did is $1,000. That comes out of left field completely. Like, you just decided that it's $1,000? I can only imagine what's going through your head. What's going through your head?
I didn't know what to do.
So 20 minutes later, you answer, I understand you are a professional. Although this is your first freelance job, we knew going in the time and effort it would take. As you know, I am already way over budget, even if I do win. And we never agreed on that high a price, $1,000, or even alluded to it at the beginning. If we had, I would have gone with someone else. That's fair. I was planning on giving you double what I agreed to pay you. That sounds like a good tip. Double, 100% tip. If I do win, but I have no more to possibly give. I personally had to put more than 3 months' work on this project. What's the prize money?
$1,500.
Okay. I appreciate the effort and work you put into it, and I would like to give you fair exposure for the work you put into it. You could have told me all this at the beginning. If it was too much work as a professional, I would have gotten someone else to do it. I would like to come by and give you a check for your work and pick up the fabrics tonight. That was at 6:53. Crickets. Crickets until 8:24. You can't stand it anymore. And you write, when can I come and pick them up tonight? To which she responds, fair exposure and proper pay, if it wins, would be to add my name to the competition as someone who created your vision, and an agreement on 45% of the prize. Tonight, I am out for a friend's birthday. So at 8:43, 20 minutes later, you say to her, I'm sorry, but that is absolutely absurd. You didn't design it or come up with the vision. You did the design I told you to do. You have not worked on it with me from the start, nor have you even worked a quarter of the amount. As I told you, I am already over budget, cannot pay you more than what I have stated. This is incredibly unprofessional and unethical. To which you get crickets. Nothing. Then at 10:20, I guess you're coming unglued, and you say, I have thought about it and I really have no choice but to give in to what you are saying because I will suffer a huge loss of months of time, effort, and income if I don't get the fabrics by tonight. I just got off the phone with the director. She will put your name on the website and give you the credit you have requested. I really need the fabrics by tonight, though. Then you say, let me ask Mimi to give it to you. Who's Mimi?
My roommate at the time.
Okay. Are you going over now? Yeah. They are hanging on hangers. I kind of want the hangers. Jeez. But also it will lose its press, so if you compile it, less hangers, great. If not, no worries. I got it, just got it home, thank you. Who is the director you spoke with? You answer that day at almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you answer. The website description has been added, giving you the credit you don't deserve. I would prefer, because now she's got the fabrics, giving you the credit you don't deserve. I would prefer you not to be there during the event. I can figure out the setup on my own. You did a beautiful sewing job, and I appreciate the workmanship. A few of the materials were placed backwards. It took me 3 hours to put the half-inch rope in because many of the parts were sewn unevenly and were too thin to fit. All right. So what are you referring to when you say that it took you 3.5 hours to get the rope through?
So at the I actually have a picture of the design.
Yeah.
So
tell me about it.
At the top of it was a rope that basically I fit all the fabric through in order to hold the fabric up.
Okay.
But I had to actually rip some of them in order to just even fit it through because the seams were too small and it wasn't correct on the seams.
All right. So now, how'd you do?
I won.
You won. You won first prize, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, did you communicate with her and tell her? Or did she communicate with you? How did she find out that you won first prize?
So she actually showed up at the event.
So she did.
Yeah, and
was that her right here in this picture?
That was her in the picture.
It
yeah.
looked like her in the picture.
Yeah.
So that,
Wait, let me see.
And she asked my photographer, who I hired to come there to take photos of her in there.
That's from my camera, my sister.
okay, that's fine, but that's you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought it was you.
It is.
All right. So what do? You win, and what happens?
And then I go home. I get the money, and I go home, and then.
When do you hear from her next?
I hear from her a few days, or I think the next day, and then a few months later, she messaged me again.
Okay. She then says to you, hey, I gave you more than enough time. Why were you ignoring her? Why didn't you just do what you said you were going to do? And
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Is it? Yeah, I will say the defendant won the art contest, but is it still going in? Is it too risky for the seamstress to say, yeah, don't pay me, I'll just take 45% of your winnings if you win?
Oh, it's up to her, but
Is it too risky for you?
it's too risky for me.
Why?
You do the work, you get paid. You don't wait for a contest. That's all opinion.
What are you saying?
I would definitely want to get paid. I don't want to take that risk, no.
Have you ever been to Vegas?
Sure,
You like it?
love it.
Why isn't this different than Vegas?
Vegas has scenery, has a nice background, and you have a lot more things to do. This is just, it's like you just fulfill your debt. If you owe somebody...
I didn't think you could answer that question, but you did a good job. That was really good, going inside the courtroom.
I felt like through the blackmail that she didn't deserve the money.
so you feel that it was like blackmail, basically, to have the fabrics and to all of a sudden change the rules. And but you do know you did say to her, okay, we'll do X, Y, Z. You actually did give her the credit. Did that change according to you? That got taken down eventually? Mm-hmm. What happened there? You had the director of this contest take her name out?
So, yeah.
Yeah, how come?
I did. I would have changed it and kept her there. She was not the creator of the vision. I have a picture of.
But why? Okay, so why did you put her name up at all? Because you wanted the fabrics, and you were worried she wasn't going to give it to you because she was ignoring you until you said you would do it. So in January, you decide to sue.
Yeah.
So how do I? Okay, so here's the thing. You want me to enforce the 45% of the prize money after expenses provision, because according to you, it was a modification of the contract that both sides agreed upon.
A definition of what happens if it wins and exposure.
Right. But you concede that didn't happen until she kept demanding to pick it up, trying to pick it up, and you ignored her for hours, right? It wasn't
same
until
day.
she conceded. Yeah, it's all the
same day.
Yeah, but that's the day she needs to pick it up, which you knew at 3-something. Like I said earlier.
That day.
Yeah,
I knew that day.
Well, it had been done the day before. You had already texted her the day before that it was done.
That I had it over, but I was
Yeah, you
also
said it was ready, it's done, but we need, let's talk tomorrow. Then the let's talk tomorrow ended up being I want more.
5 days nonstop, no sleep. It means like waking up at
Who's
8
that
a.m.
on? I'm sorry.
to
You're the
4 a.m.
seamstress.
I did it.
You knew beforehand. You took the job. You knew what it entailed. Nobody changed what the job entailed. There weren't change orders. She didn't decide she wanted something different. She sat there, explained everything to you, and the decision was made. It's $150. And then if I win, you can get something more. What the something more is, no one knows. But why would it ever be more than double your pay? Like double your 100% tip is so much. Why would it ever be more than that? And you, so you say to her, it needs to be 45%, and I want credit as someone who created your vision, to a designer who has spent months working on this, when she thought she hired somebody for $150 to sew some seams. You see, for her fabrics, she had picked out the way she had picked them out. That's what you were doing. All of a sudden now, you're at the competition, taking pictures in there, and kind of holding her hostage. Convince me why it's not just blackmail, because that's kind of how it looks, for you to all of a sudden demand all these things.
I would never hold it back. I wanted this to succeed. I cared about the project.
It didn't look that way because
I cared about the project.
I don't doubt that, but it didn't look like you were going to release the stuff because you ignored all her texts until she, when she said, "I can't believe you're doing this. This is so unfair. This is unprofessional." Crickets until 10-something at night. When she caves, immediately you answer, "I'll talk to Mimi and you can pick it up tonight." I mean, that's how it exactly how it looks like. Tell me why it isn't that.
I honestly, I would have just wanted to negotiate. If she said less,
What gives you the right to negotiate after the negotiations are concluded? The negotiations were $150.
Such a short time.
Okay. A contract is when two sides agree to give something up. You agree to give up your valuable and talented time, and you agree to pay somebody $150. That's a contract. But when someone who is in a contract turns around and says, oh, by the way, I have a list of demands. The demands are, I want 45% of your prize money, and I want credit as someone who brought your vision into reality. That is not a contract because she didn't give anything else up that she didn't already have a right to do. She had a right to get that stuff that night, okay? But you were ignoring her, so she wasn't gonna. Her promise to pay you that, for it to be a new contract that supersedes, has to be accompanied by something you gave up. And the only thing you gave up was what you were supposed to give up already. You didn't give up anything new. So no, that is not a new contract that I'm going to enforce. And my verdict in this case is for the defendant.
So the plaintiff fails in her effort. Ms. Turk, it didn't work. Come over here. What are you thinking right now?
What am I thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, I hear what the judge is saying. I also wouldn't count a few hours of ignoring as me ignoring her.
Well, the judge did.
Yeah, like for me, it's just like
Immediately
I need
when
to
she
think,
gave
I need to
in,
think
then
about
you gave-
this. It's more like I need to think about this. I need time. And I'm
The
not
judge thinks you were
spontaneous in making
blackmail.
decisions.
Do you see where she feels that way?
I could see that, but I don't.
Yeah, well, you
think
may
it's
not agree,
blackmail.
but thank you very much. Okay. All right. Good for you. You know, I have the impression that this was step over here, please. This was a very important thing for you, this contest.
Yes, it was months of work and effort on my part.
Has it benefited you winning first place?
Yes, I mean, I got a lot of exposure, and it was a fun and great contest to be a part of.
And what do you actually do? I mean, this was an art contest specifically, right?
A design contest, yeah, I'm a
A
designer.
design for what?
Yeah, so I design ritual baths, actually, as a living, and
Okay.
yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
For winning both places. Okay. You must step out that way, and that'll do it. Harvey?
Hey, Doug, the judge is talking about there not being a new contract because the plaintiff isn't giving anything up. In the law, that's called consideration. That means each side has to give something and each side has to get something.